Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dodgeball Podcast. In this episode, I'm happy to actually finally interview Rebecca Shappell. I said that right, correct?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Very cool. I don't know why I always overthink it, but that's just my nature. But we'll just go ahead and start with your team name and where you're from.
Sure. So I'm from Michigan. I play in the North region, and I'm on Final Justice.
Awesome. And as we were kind of talking about offline, I think that's the source of a lot of these Marvel versus like DC questions that just blew up the thread. Thank you, Sergio and Mark Hill and all you guys for that. But I guess we'll get there. Yeah. So first off, thank you so much for kind of helping me understand the North. I think we had 4 panel discussions together last year.
Something like that, yeah. 3 or 4.
It was quite a bit. I remember there was like this one time that's all we were doing, but it was really awesome getting to know you that way. And I think this is it's about time I actually get to know you some more. So let's just start with the first question. And that is, what got you into dodgeball?
So our high school, growing up, decided to have a fundraiser where you had a small entry fee, you made teams of 6, and it was a foam tournament that the money went toward children's cancer research. And you played it overnight in the school. It was like a big overnight tournament to model Penn State's Thon. And yeah, that was my first real exposure into the world. We won that 2 years in a row, realized we were pretty good, and I got hooked.
Nice. You said to model Penn State's what?
Thon. So Penn State has a 46-hour dance where all the dancers stay standing and dancing for that time.
Oh, okay.
In order to get pledges to raise money for pediatric cancer research. And in that 46 hours, they normally raise over $10 million.
Jeez. Okay, I think I've seen like footage of that. I'm not trying to date myself, but I remember seeing like black and white footage even of it, of like maybe when I first started, and people are just, on the verge of collapse, but they're still dancing. So did you just play nonstop dodgeball then, or did you get breaks for this, or?
So it was still regular tournament style. It was, like you had round robins, so you'd have breaks, and then you went into elimination, and the winners of the student ones would then play the teachers at the pep rally.
Nice.
We ended up, though, our years, they ended up having it be the basketball winners played, not the dodgeball ones, so we never got to, show ourselves off in front of the whole school.
I see. You probably didn't want to decimate people anyway, beat them up.
Oh, of course. Didn't want to show them up.
And you said this is like they used foam at the time? Nice. And was that your first like foray into dodgeball, or did you play as a kid growing up, or?
I mean, there were definitely gym class ones, but I wasn't aware that dodgeball progressed into more of a like tournament competitive style. I was one of those people that growing up always thought it was just, a gym class thing that you did. So yeah, that was my first real exposure into something.
Gotcha. And what was that first experience like for you? I guess like if we're counting that as like your first true experience of dodgeball, where it's kind of organized and structured, what was about it that you liked so much?
I guess it was the competition. I mean, I grew up playing field hockey, soccer, and softball, and I loved the sport competition where you actually played somebody else, and it was more so, things could be more so dependent on how you played, not versus as a team, because in dodgeball you had that ability to take out an entire team when it was just you, or, suck and drop a catch in the very first round of it. I don't know. I liked the fact that it was a team and also individual sport at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like one of the things I used to love plugging dodgeball to other people was like at any given time, any one of you can be the star of that game. Like you may not be the hardest thrower or the best catcher, but you'll see like people have their moments where they're bailing their team out because they took out an entire team by themselves by throwing or by catching. But it seems like sometimes I guess like not the talent, but like the influence of the player shifts. It could be anybody's game at any time. Plus, you have that team aspect. So definitely hear you there. And you said you played other sports too growing up, like field hockey, or what else did you do?
Yeah, so I actually did four sports. I played field hockey, soccer, softball, and I ran track and cross country.
Gotcha. And would you say any one of those sports helped with dodgeball, or which one helped more than the other?
Personally, for me, I would say field hockey, which is such an odd thing to say, but field hockey helped me immensely with my hand-eye coordination and my stamina for going into dodgeball. I didn't realize, on a court as small as it is, how much endurance you would go through to try and play. So I would definitely say field hockey was the big one for me.
Gotcha. Do you play any other sports currently outside of dodgeball?
We'll do like competitive sand volleyball in the summer sometimes. It all depends on how busy our schedules are and what the days they have the tournament availability.
Gotcha. So you're saying field hockey is pretty much what you accredit to helping with dodgeball, and you seem like a pretty active person. Just kind of basing this off of what I've seen of you, and also from the Dodgeball Fit to Win group. But is there anything in particular that you've been doing to get into shape, especially since you have Elite coming up this weekend?
Just a lot of lifting and cardio. I've been going to the gym probably 6 days a week, and 4 of those days I'll be doing some form of cardio, whether it be running, biking, ellipticals, or stair steppers. But we've also kind of created our own circuit work, our team and I, for dodgeball exercises, and it's more of a cardio circuit, so we'll go through that as well.
Very cool. And try not to dance around too much. That's just kind of a quick segue question that popped up, but do you still play NCDA?
I do. I was supposed to be done in the fall, but there ended up being a problem with one of my classes that they said I was good with. So long story short, I have to retake it.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And so I'm here for another semester.
So you might as well.
Yeah, might as well, right?
Gotcha. So, so I guess we can kind of go back then in that case. So you went from this this foam tournament to which is charity based and for fun, more or less. But what drew you into the NCDA, and how did you hear about that, and how did that kind of enter your life?
Honestly, they were talking about all the club sports they had at this college fair when I went to the Michigan State booth, and the woman had nonchalantly mentioned that dodgeball was a club sport for them, and I thought, oh my God, is it really that big? And she was like, yeah, it's actually one of the 25 officially recognized club sports. And she was like, I couldn't tell you too much more about it, but, if it's officially recognized, it's got to be big enough. And so I looked into it, and I found out the team was actually a really legit thing. And during the big fall club sports event where the club sports have all the freshmen come out and basically try and recruit people, I found the table, signed up, and I went to practice and just instantly loved it.
Nice. When you said, and this is more for people that may not be too familiar with NCDA, especially us here in the Southwest, we just don't have it out here. When you say it legit, what do you mean by that?
So, colleges, they'll have intramural dodgeball leagues where it's you kind of make a team with your friends from college and you play other kids from your college just for, whatever. There's no real merit behind it. It's just kind of getting together, having a couple kids rep it and play back and forth. This is actually, jerseys, equipment, traveling, rankings, big intensity games, rosters. And it was a whole new world that I didn't even realize existed. And for those of you, that would be listening that are unfamiliar with the NCDA, like you said, a lot of the West Coast people, we currently have, if I remember the last count, is 55 active major universities across the country. And it goes from September to April. And in April, you have nationals, which is essentially like elite nationals, only instead of a 3-day tournament with different leagues, it's 2 full days of pinch.
Gosh. Which I imagine is your favorite, right?
Oh, of course.
Definitely, we'll go into that. Around what year was this when you first started NCDA?
Oh man, 2013.
2013. Okay.
Yep, it's been 6 years.
Gotcha. Because I've known about NCDA since like 2006. I want to say 7, and I was just completely impressed with, like, as you were saying, like the legitimacy of it, where they probably had like maybe 28 teams back then, but it's still a lot, especially back in the day when the NDL was like our only thing, and just to see that just completely be wrapped around the Midwest was like, I was so jealous of you guys. But I think that impressed me the most is I would see that, like, Fox Sports Network, or I think like ESPN3 would actually televise some of these games, and it was just like you said, it was like watching college football, and I was always jealous of that and wanted to see that come out west. And I'm hoping that with the more that the NCDA kind of gets involved with Elite, we'll have more people wanting to bring that over our way and just see it expand, because it's just a great way to grow the sport. But
oh yeah.
Do you have an active role with them, like, aside from playing? Like, are you part of like any board, or do you work for them or work with them, or?
I still work with them. I'll help our current president because I only thought I was going to be here for a semester. I didn't run for any board positions or any captain roles this year.
Right.
But last year I was actually their president and one of their assistant captains.
Okay, cool. And again, just on the off chance people that might be listening aren't too familiar with NCDA, so can you kind of just explain? It's like a full court. How many people are on each team?
Yeah, so it basically would be on the size of a basketball court. It's 12 on 12, and predominantly out of 95% of the teams you'll see, it's all male. It's more so of like, it can be co-ed depending on the strength of the female players as well and their contributions to the team. It's not played in match systems where it's best of. It is 2 25-minute halves, and to score point based, it is completely eliminating the other team. If the clock winds down to end the half and there are still players remaining on both sides, there's no points awarded and the point is immediately ended. If you end in a tie, it goes down to 6 on 6, and that is played out. First team to eliminate the other team completely wins the match.
Gotcha. So how many people do you have on your roster if 12 people are on the court?
You can have up to 18 total. MSU currently, we're normally, if it's a closer tournament or a home tournament, we have 18. If it's traveling, it's kind of hard to get college guys out for a weekend on things like this. So we'll normally have like 15, 16, yeah.
Gotcha. And are there any, like, aside from like the court dimensions, the amount of people on the team, and the format of the game, are there any like real specific rules that vary from Elite? Like, I think I've heard dirty blocking is a thing. Is that still part of NCAA, or?
It is and it is not. You can't block into yourself, but you can block into somebody else.
Okay.
So, and the other big thing with it is, instead of, let's say it's a ricochet catch, so the ball bounces off you and I catch it. Elite, that's a straight up catch. In NCDA, it's a team catch. So everybody's safe, but the team that made that catch still has a player come in.
Oh, okay. So a throw ball hit you, bounces off you, but he catches it. I'm out. No, I'm not out.
You're not out. You're still
in.
safe, but we get somebody in.
Oh,
and then we operate, instead of on a burden clock, we operate on shot clocks for both sides to prevent stalling from either end. So you have essentially, if you have above 5 people, you have 15 seconds to throw a ball. If you have below 5 or below, you have 10 seconds. And you can't roll like how Elite is. You can't roll a ball to the other side. You have to throw it so that it was within a playable range when it lands or goes above the person's head. AKA, they could make a dive if they wanted to, or a jump to catch it.
It has to be like playable, for lack of better words.
Yes.
I wonder, and Serge Ferrari might correct me on this as this is being aired, but I think that was the case for Elite. I think they adopted that rule where you can't just be chucking balls back and forth. Like you have to throw like a playable ball, but I might be wrong. But,
if I remember, are you talking Elite this year?
Yeah, for Elite this year.
I just read in the rules that like you could still roll the ball over, but you can't roll it over like more than once. So essentially the way it was like, you can roll it if they roll back to you, you have to throw.
Gotcha. So they're trying to get rid of that because that could be just brutal to watch and very frustrating.
Yeah, I would personally love to see that gone.
Yeah, it's it's just so frustrating. It's like, God, just play dodgeball with me. Like, stop rolling the ball, especially if you have people that throw hard and have no excuse or no reason to be rolling it.
Yeah, and I get it, especially with single elim now, you might want to draw out the game to try and tire out the other player before you get tired out. But that's not, to me, that's not how you should play it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Definitely hate seeing it too. Yeah, I think I don't want to. I mean, I kind of want to get into NCAA just a little bit more.
That's fine.
So the nationals are in April, and the format's the same, right? It's still going to be those 2 25-minute halves.
Yeah, still those 2 25-minute halves. You'll have probably 30 or so teams traveling. It's held at Grand Valley this year in Michigan.
Okay.
So you'll have probably 30 or so teams come in. The first full day is you play about 3 games each, and that's just to help further determine, like seeding or anything. You can request teams to play on day 1, and then day 2 is basically like March Madness, where it's single elim up until the finals, still the 2 25-minute halves, and still the same OT format if you were to need to go into overtime.
You said you can request teams to play against?
Yes, for day 1, you can request what teams you'd like to play. You're not guaranteed to get all the teams you request, but they try and give you at least one of the teams you request.
Huh. Now, is that just for to keep it fun, or?
Yeah, and to also you might have had a match against a team where you lost in a really close overtime match and you want to get, revenge for
Nice.
round 2. So you request to play them a second time. So
kind of like grudge matches, maybe?
Yeah, there's definitely some grudge
That's cool.
matches that can come out in day 1.
So you guys have a regular season that leads up to this? Like how many matches will your school's team get to play?
It's all dependent on what you schedule. So with the NCDA, your scheduling solely relied on your e-board members and your captains to say, yes, we're going to this league, get a roster together, get driving arrangements, whatever, transportation arrangements together, and send that team to there. We typically try and play about every month and a half, so that we can keep the guys fresh,
right,
and keep them going. And obviously that playing every month and a half is on top of practicing multiple times a week.
Huh. And what's practice like for you guys? Like, is it...
It all varies depending on how close we are to or from a tournament. So our first day back, or within the first week back, we're normally watching film, going over things that we can improve on to know how to model our next several practices. Next few practices, you're going over a lot of strategical stuff, but still playing hard, and taking time to pause the game mid-play to establish what you should or should not be doing. And then once you've developed that strategy around it again from what you saw from the previous tournament, you're just playing all out for over 2 hours until the week before, and then the week before you tend to take it easy.
Gotcha. And one thing I wanted to ask earlier, so how can I phrase this? What's the toll it takes, the physical toll? So you're playing, 2 25-minute halves, but then, how does that compare to Elite, where, you're playing an all-day tournament, but you're playing, six players, and games are going a little bit faster, I would think, at least until single elimination. Well, I guess we'll find out during the recap. But is there like a huge difference in like how fatigued you get or how conditioned you need to be able to hang with the NCDA, or can you kind of comment on that a little bit?
I would say depending on the teams you play, because each team is different in their playing style. Your fatigue levels will vary. There are teams that like to play very slow, and in that they won't come up and try and make a throw until they have their clock counting down, telling them they have like 5 seconds left. Or there's teams that play very fast paced that are immediately coming up, throwing and running back, and you're having to basically run back and forth with them like a suicide. So it's very dependent on like very, high intensity matches. You can find yourself, especially when you're one of the last few in, which for me tends to be the case. I will find myself essentially like nonstop running back and forth, and it'll be pretty much like running up, making a throw, backpedaling, sprinting back, dropping and sliding to try and make a catch, getting up and immediately running again. So I will definitely be pretty cashed out by the end of those. But the fast pace of elite, I would say when you have a couple games in a row in like round robin, I'd say that might be a little more fatiguing.
Gotcha. You just remind me, because I'm trying to remember some like footage I've seen of NCAA games, and if I recall correctly, there's a pretty big neutral zone, right?
Oh yeah.
Do we cover how long that is or how many feet that is?
So from neutral line to throw line, it's 60, or from neutral line to baseline, it's 30 feet for your throwing. So it's 10 feet longer than an open court for your throw distance. And if I remember correctly, the full length of the court is 90 feet. So it's a 30-foot big neutral zone.
Gotcha. So, because the reason why I ask is like, say you guys throw at me, and then for whatever reason you guys miss, and I'm like trying to run you down. Is there a scenario where we can kind of like get caught in the neutral zone, like, or maybe I've run past you?
Oh yeah, that'll happen a lot with some of the, for lack of a better term, strategically inexperienced players. They won't realize with how big the court is, how far they're running up can also be their downfall. Like, yes, you close the gap on the person in front of you, but if their team has a ball from the other side and they're already running around and you don't stop to adjust to that play, they're just going to come straight up behind you and corner you. And you're
blindsided, or
unless they absolutely miss, like, you're almost always out.
Can you like, so what if like you're right next to me? Like, do I just have to throw the ball, or can I tag you, or like how would?
The ball has to be like released from your hands.
Okay.
So you can like take it and two-handed tap them and then just grab the ball back.
Gotcha. But I'm definitely like not punching you with the ball if you're that close. It's not like close quarters combat.
People still do. It's college. It's college, guys.
Sure. Yeah. So April's coming up. Round 3 is coming up. Again, by the time this airs, it'll be tomorrow. Are you? I don't want to say like, do you hold one over the other, but like, I guess like, how are you mentally preparing? Because the way I see it, elite is like the best competition we have, but I don't have the NCDA. So how do you weigh the two? Like, does anyone have preference? I guess
it's all dependent on which one's closer. Personally, for me, it's very easy to switch my mentality after doing this for so many years. And the fact that I know when we come back from round 1, I'll still have 2.5 weeks to prepare for nationals.
Okay.
I think it's a little easier for me to look at everything and realize, okay, like, focus on this right now, kind of like exams, like focus on this one right now. And as soon as you get back, switch your mentality and devote it to this next one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like I said, though, I've been in this for years, so I've developed a habit.
Yeah, if I could speak better, I would have asked, how do you mentally prepare to transition in between the two? Don't know why those words failed me, but that's essentially what I was asking, so.
No, that's okay. For me personally, I feel like my roles are a bit different on each team. For elite with Final Justice, because it is higher competition and harder throwers, I am very naturally put into the catching phase of things. Because, you know, most of our guys on the team are upper 60s, low 70s on their throws, that I'm not going to hit that. Whereas NCDA, you have a drop off in the throwing speeds and capabilities and accuracy of said players, that I can be a little more free to move around and play in different roles on the team. So for me, it's almost like I'm closing my mind off to possibilities for elite, because I know my sole job is, okay, make a catch, make the big plays like that. If you have to throw, you better place it at the right spot.
Gotcha.
Whereas NCDA, it's like, okay, you can set up a team throw with this person and actually, you know, like still have a decent throw with them and drop back on the defensive.
Gotcha. So NCDA kind of lets you be a little more versatile, lets you be a little more offensive, whereas elite, a little more focused on catching and defensiveness. But does pinching change that at all for elite?
No, NCDA is also pinch, so I'm kind of just 100% in pinch all the time.
I meant more like because it, well, I want to say that the throwing's not as far, but I guess I could be wrong. Is it the same distance for pinch as it is NCDA for elite?
It's 5 feet closer for elite than NCDA for pinch.
Gotcha. Does that change your range at all, or your ability to hit people?
A little bit in NCDA. I find that after playing an elite match, because it's so much closer and you get attuned to seeing a ball at a different reaction time, that when you come into NCDA and it is farther, it's almost like everything's in slow motion and you can easily see what you're supposed to do, if you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha. You have like more time to react and kind of plan your next couple of split-second decisions or movements. Gotcha. I think if there's any other NCDA questions. I think there's some in the comments, so I'll kind of shift back to elite and then pick up on those. But what drew you into elite dodgeball? So going back 6 years ago, you said you started NCDA, which is about 2013 timeframe.
Yep.
When did you get into elite first?
Oh geez. I think I was actually at Elite Nationals in Vegas in 2014.
Nice.
I wanted to get better. And I knew that one of the ways to get better is to go from being a big fish in a small pond, aka one of the only girls the only girl in the Michigan region, to putting myself out there to better players and completely different game styles to learn at a much quicker rate. So it was just the idea of expansion, I guess, on my gameplay that drew me to it, that I could become this entirely different player in NCDA, specifically speaking at the time, for what I wanted to be.
Nice. And how did that help? I mean, if you can recall your experience with Elite in Vegas, I think it was like the first one too.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, did it accomplish the mission of expanding your horizons and seeing what else is out there? Or do you remember like how you felt walking away from that event?
I mean, I will say my very first Elite was pretty rough because I had no prior, playing in that. But I definitely walked away feeling a lot more competent in my abilities to say to myself, okay, you actually can do these things. You just have to work at them. And Elite really exposed me to what I needed to work on and how I needed to do it.
Nice. Do you remember what those were specifically? Just out of curiosity, like...
At the time, pretty much everything in general. I mean, looking back, you always think you're an okay player, but looking back, I can definitely say that my first Elite, I was not good. And so it was pretty much working on everything. You're dodging, you're catching, you're throwing, your IQ on the court to know what to do in situations, your communication, everything. And it's just been slowly like, okay, what do I want to work on this week when I got back? Do I want to work on my catching? Okay, I'll just sit on the back line and wait for people to throw at me. Okay, do I want to work at throwing? Great. Yeah, I go up and I throw 5 catches, but now I'm figuring out my arm slots. I'm figuring out my release points.
Nice.
And it just kind of transitioned me into being able to play a little better.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, that's just a good mentality to have. He's like, yeah, I may have thrown 5 catches today, but I'm getting my reps in. And like you said, I'm kind of gauging my release points and just really breaking it down to a technical type of mindset and just making the most out of that experience. Do you have I feel like I should know this already, but just because it's on the page here, what's your favorite style of ball?
100% 8.5 pinch.
Yes.
100%. I mean, foam will always have a special place in my heart because I started with that, but there's so few opportunities up here that my love for 8.5 has just skyrocketed.
That's awesome. That's the right answer. So I'm guessing foam would be the next, and then no sting would be third if you had to choose between the 3. So are there just not too many opportunities to play foam up there, or is it pretty much just still rubber dominant?
It's still very much rubber dominant. Michigan specifically, touching back on NCDA a little, is the central hub for college dodgeball. They're basically the founders of the league. They're basically the people who started pinching, and that took off. And it was so big for people to build off of that it's basically been all 8.5 rubber all the time.
Nice. Yeah, I keep saying it's based on what you essentially grew up with. What you're used to is what you're gonna like. People that came in knowing nothing but foam are gonna swear that foam is the best ball ever, and they'll be wrong because the best ball ever is 8.5. But I can't hold that against you if you don't know any better. I can only try to learn you the ways. But and I guess it kind of sucks that we can't really talk about UDC anymore. Rest in peace, because it's not there. But
yeah.
Had you, because you played last year, what team did you guys play for, or did you play for?
Fierce.
And had you had much UDC experience prior to then, or?
No.
No?
No. I was so out of my element.
Do you want to get into that just real briefly, just what that was like, and just was that another opportunity to kind of learn what you need to improve on, or how did that whole thing go for you?
100% was a learning opportunity. And it was something that, I had seen UDC for years, and you never see women out there. And once they had a women's team and Kat Takeda reached out to me to play, I was like, I'm at least athletic enough that I can probably do something. It's a great time for me to expand my dodgeball knowledge and my playing abilities. Why not? It looks like a great time, and you don't know whether you're going to get this opportunity again. And sadly and ironically, I don't get that opportunity again.
That's the crappiest part, is because I keep saying it looks like such a good quality presentation of how dodgeball could be if it was backed by money and backed by a good production crew. And go figure, I feel like they get the best, most polished version of it available. They incorporate a women's division, and then it just falls apart. And it's come on.
I know.
Why now?
It's sad, but
yeah, what are you gonna do?
That is life.
Well, I did have some questions about UDC and switching to a trampoline, but it doesn't really. It's kind of a moot point at this point, so I guess we'll skip over those. But one thing I completely forgot to ask towards the beginning is, what is your number, and does it have any significance to you?
Oh boy, here we go. Okay,
right,
so
how do you like that?
I wear number 34.
Okay.
One person I can tell you 100% that is going to love this is Andrew Ketchum. And I wear 34 because my favorite athlete of all time is one of the greatest DHs of all time. And he's from the Boston Red Sox, and it's David Ortiz.
Huh.
That guy is all-time favorite athlete for me. I know, a lot of people, why the heck do you like David Ortiz? when I went to my very first game. My dad's a diehard Red Sox fan. He bought me a David Ortiz jersey. We went down early to see the beginning of batting practice, watch through batting practice and everything. And, you know, my little like 9-year-old self was all excited. So I go running down to the front. And for some reason, David Ortiz is in, what is he? He's in left field, right in the corner. And he's just tossing a ball with one of his teammates. I don't even remember who it was. And I looked down and I yelled David, and he looked up at me and he waved. He said hi. He asked how I was doing.
Nice.
And just seemed like the nicest, coolest person ever. And then he just had a monster season that year that I fell in love with that guy.
That's pretty cool. Not a baseball fan at all, but I think I know who you're talking about just because SNL makes fun of him so much. Do you watch SNL at all?
I don't.
I'll have to send you some clips of their version and impersonation of David Ortiz, but they're always like just making fun of how he's always talking about what he's eating. He eats like a big lunch constantly. That's like the whole bit. But yeah, they call him Big Papi, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I do like, again, not a huge baseball fan, but I do see a lot of like clips of baseball players, you know, when they're warming up, playing catch with fans, and you know, autographing and just being really good people. So that's always cool to see, and that's kind of a really cool story as to why you have 34 as your number.
Oh yeah.
Can't think of a better reason to have that. So you said you're a Red Sox fan too, though?
Yep.
Gotcha. How does that work if you're in Michigan?
You know, when you're diehard about something, you make it work.
Doesn't matter. Location's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, it was kind of just, I still kept watching games. I've kind of fallen off a little bit just because I've been so busy, but I'll keep up with them on, you know, like ESPN and everything, and make sure like they're still doing okay, which right now they're not doing the greatest. But yeah, no, that was actually one of the ways I really met my now or then teammates in the old Final Justice, was through like a baseball game.
Go on. How'd that happen?
So that was actually how Kevin, who is the captain of Final Justice, had asked me out at the time. Was he bought us tickets to the Tigers Red Sox playoff game, and obviously it went really well. We started dating, and we ended up going over to like everybody's house the next day to keep watching the rest of the playoff series. And that's how I really got to hang out and get to know those guys, was watching the Tigers Red Sox playoff series.
Nice. Is this the same group that you tend to have, like, I think it's like pasta night for you? Like you have like food and then they're all playing Fortnite? Because I think that's happened a few times before we recap. You're like, oh yeah, no, I just got the guys over and, you know, we're eating dinner and everybody's game. Is that the same group of people or?
It is. It's a little bit of a mixture of the old Final Justice and new Final Justice players. One of the old Final Justice players was our roommate for like 2 years. He ended up switching jobs and moving out. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of the Final Justice guys are also Michigan State players. So we're all within the same like 10 miles of each other.
Okay. That
we'll always just be hanging out, playing video games, going to eat somewhere. Always eating.
Nice. Yeah, I always thought that was pretty cool because I think of like 2 of the 3 recaps was, oh yeah, everybody's over here just playing Fortnite. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's like a really cool team cohesion type thing. Like, you know, they like each other off the court as well. It's kind of neat.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool. So we'll go ahead and go into. We'll start with the fan source questions, and we'll start with the first one, which is Markel Stokes asking, what song gets you amped up before a dodgeball game, if any?
My all-time favorite go-to song, 100% would always be "The Show Goes On" by Lupe Fiasco.
Huh. Don't think I've heard that one.
It's pretty old, but for some reason that song, I don't know what it is. It's not even the most hype of songs, but I put that on and it's just like instant mentality switch.
Show goes on. Let's listen to that. Can't say I'm a huge Lupe fan, but the songs I do know of him, I do enjoy. So
It is old Lupe. New Lupe got a little weird, but old Lupe's pretty solid song choices.
okay, like Go Go Gadget Flow, Lupe time frame, or
I'd say around there.
okay,
Maybe a little after. Talking like I think the song was released in 2010.
oh man, that was so long ago.
I know, almost 10 years ago.
Oh jeez, yikes, yeah. I'll have to listen to that one. Do you have any other like runners up, or do you have like a playlist, or
I
of
have
songs?
like a full playlist on my Spotify. So if anybody were to look me up on Spotify, it's just my playlist titled Workout, but I'm a big EDM fan. So any hardcore, like, I want to say like it's a bit of a trap EDM with like a hard bass drop.
Okay.
Real good bass drops just for some reason like give me all the goosebumps, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like let's go, I'm ready for this.
That's funny. It's crazy because most people I've asked, like, hey, what song hypes you up, with the exception of Jenny. Recently, it seems like there hasn't been. Like, some people are like, oh, I don't have time to listen to music, or I prefer not to because it settles me. Yeah, it's been strange. It's been like a weird question to ask lately. I think some people just don't appreciate the arts. I don't know.
I have to. I can't play if like my whole mentality is off if I don't listen to at least, I want to say 2 or 3 songs before I talk to somebody at Elite when I put my headphones on. Like, I will literally just put my hand up and walk away and keep listening to my songs.
Like, no, I need this for a second. Gotcha. I think we got into, I don't know if I imagined this, but I think we got into pregame rituals. So I'll save that question for a second because you reminded me of. No, I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Do you have a pregame, pre-tournament ritual?
Not so much on the term of like, I get there, have to put this knee pad on, this one on, whatever. But I get there, I almost always have to go put my hair in a braid or a bun in the bathroom at that tournament. Like, I can't walk in with my hair done for some reason, which sounds really girly, but some girls will get that. And then I have to put my headphones on before I even put knee pads or shoes on. I have to have my headphones on to actually gear up.
So you have to have music on as you're gearing up.
Yep. It's kind of like, like you're getting ready, like for the day, like, I don't know, like a very minor equation to like soldier going into battle, like that. My music is hyping me up to get ready into that like game day Mamba mentality, if you will.
Gotcha. Once you're in that mindset, do you stay in it? Like, do you turn into a different person throughout the tournament? Like, I don't want to say do you break character, but do you keep that mindset?
I do for the most part of the day. Toward the end, when I start getting tired, is when it's harder. So you'll see me pull my headphones out again between rounds and try and keep my mentality going. But I would say for the beginning of the day, I'm pretty solid into very stoic mentality.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious about that because for me, it's hard to get into that mindset when I have to ref, or if I'm trying to pull people for in-game interviews, or just trying to socialize with all the people I get to see again that I haven't seen for months at a time. But there are definitely times where I just want to be like, just kind of go disappear for a little bit, plug into some headphones, and just try to keep that that mentality. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to rephrase that question to ask other people as we go, because that's something I wanted to ask too, because a lot of it's going to be mental. Like, how do you focus and how do you actually get mentally prepared, and how do you stay that way? Because these tournaments are pretty long.
I get 100% where you're coming from with that. I will focus and get into that mentality by on the way there. Like, I could go back and pick points in live streams where I know I do something good. Like, let's say like Elite Nationals live streams or something like that. And I will go back to that point and I will watch those over and over again. And then I will watch how I subsequently got out.
Huh.
And I will just keep watching through them and listening to the hype and then that downfall of getting out where I'm just like, all right, I can't have that happen this time. I need to make a big play and follow it up with an even bigger play, you know?
Right. That's pretty cool, actually. Just thinking of like the last quasi cool thing I did and the last stupid time I got out. I like threw a ball and kind of like used that momentum to throw me over the ball that was thrown at me, hit the person, got away scot-free, and then a ball was thrown way over my head, and I just like for some reason try to reach up and catch it like I'm playing baseball.
Oh no.
I was like, why would you do that? Like, you're just there's no reason to go out that way. So
one of our guys in practice yesterday did that. Our one of our teammates was just messing around and threw a full court lob at him in the middle of the game, and he just went to reach up to grab it and couldn't get it, but it skimmed right off his fingers.
Like, I could have just kept my hands to myself. Would have been alive.
I know. He just laid there like he knew he messed up at the end of that. He just laid down and was like, "No, I'm done."
Yeah, I love that when it's obviously it's not happening to you and you're able to watch as a spectator. You see somebody go completely like just out of control, getting outs, catching balls, and just on a streak, and then like the dumbest thing gets him out, and you're like, how? Like you just like tripped over yourself, and this kind of brings the more lightheartedness to dodgeball. Let's go ahead and dive into some of these questions, and I think just some that might warrant some more discussion, but we'll try to breeze through some of the Marvel versus DC, which again, all this came from Final Justice, so thanks for explaining that to me because I had no idea like why are they so on about Marvel. But we'll start with Markel Stokes, and he's actually asking about DC. So do you have a favorite DC character?
I mean, if I had to pick one, I would probably say I'd probably just go classic and go Superman.
Superman. Any reason?
Not really. I'm much more of a Marvel person than I am DC, but of the few DC things I've watched and like actually like read and done anything, I'm just Superman's just, you know, that classic great storyline.
Gotcha. Yeah, you kind of answered Serge's follow-up question, are you team Marvel or DC? So I guess Marvel, more or less.
Yep.
And he asked, was the name Final Justice taken from Marvel versus Capcom? I guess in the game.
I honestly do not know. The guys formed this team right out of high school back in 2008. And I just never honestly really asked them where that name came from. And I just assumed like that was the most heroic creative thing they came up with because the fact that each guy had their own superhero they embodied.
Gotcha. Are you familiar with the Marvel vs. Capcom series? Like, is it called, like, is Final Justice the title? Maybe like, it's more of a Sergio question.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably a Sergio question, but I'm not sure.
I wonder if that's what he means. Let's see. Some of these didn't transfer fully over to, because there's a lot of memes, which are hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to make sure I've got them all. So, Abdul Saeed. Okay, I think I got the context for this one. He just says Captain America's super move, classic. So I guess that's what Final Justice might mean.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's probably a offline convo. Let's see here.
Yeah, and I think there might have been more replies to that potentially. That is just copied over from the end of it.
So I'm thinking too. Something. He says I try hard the absolute heck out of Dante. I think he means Devil May Cry. Okay, a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
Yep.
I think the next question though was favorite jersey from each region. There you go, Markel. Always asking that one.
All right, so I actually went back and I did some research to look through each region.
Awesome.
But currently, if I'm going to start with West, I absolutely love the finesse jerseys that they just made with, you know, like Paige and Ashley and everybody like that. Those jerseys are so sweet.
Nice.
I also love the Riot ones that have like kind of that bandana print sublimated lightly in the background. Love, love, love those. If we were going east, those gray Team Awesome jerseys that almost had like that oh geez, it was like a big rectangle with a bunch of print and pattern work in the middle of it, and then a really cool Team Awesome script across it.
This was what team was this?
Team Awesome. It's their gray jerseys that they wore at UDC, and I think it was the year they won it that they wore those.
I think something's kind of coming to mind. I might have to research that one.
I'm a very big fan of like subtle details, so stuff like that's always like a big thing to me.
Gotcha.
For North, I mean, the current jerseys that we just released, I love those current jerseys we just released. Maybe slightly biased since I worked with design production and drew up multiple drafts of this jersey for months.
And this is the Final Justice jersey?
The new ones, yeah. Not the black one that had like the comic book font coming up from the end, but we now just released new ones.
Is that, can we see that online right now, or am I missing it?
Yeah, I think it's on our Final Justice Dodgeball team page on Facebook.
Let me take a peek.
But it's pretty sweet. It goes from like a Honolulu, like Detroit Lions jersey color blue up to a really light blue. And there's a big cresting wave starting from one side, and then this really cool, like almost Shenron like dragon coming down from your opposite shoulder.
Oh, okay. I see it.
And it meets like a crested Final Justice symbol in the middle.
Nice. Kind of reminds me of oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're trying to stray away a bit from the superhero theme this year and go a little different.
Gotcha. You might have said it, but it reminds me of those like also like Japanese woodblock paintings, I think, where they kind of have like the waves and clouds in like a certain style.
Yep. No, that's actually what I used a lot of inspiration for.
Okay.
Was a lot of paintings like that had the Asian influences and undertones to them.
Gotcha.
And then I just realized I have not said for South yet. I just love the cleanness of the Outlaw jerseys for the South.
Right. Yeah, they're one of my favorites. Just I think I preferred Outsiders just because it was black and red, and that's always gonna be my favorite. But like, the Outlaws did look really good too. Sometimes simple is really just perfect.
Yeah.
Very cool. Actually, kind of going back on the Final Justice, any reason for the dragon? Was that just part of the look that you were looking for, or is there any like specific thing for that?
We were just trying to find something that could really be used as the face of, you know, our new design work and our logos and everything like that, but we wanted to still have a powerful presence behind it. And we toyed with like a couple different ideas for a while, and finally the guys, I drew up this first mock-up that we had, and they were like, hey, you know, like, that's actually really sweet. Like, I'd be cool going in that direction. I was like, okay, so we talking dragon? And that's when everybody started realizing, you know, like, yeah, dragons are really powerful. They have a lot of honor and integrity behind them in certain societies and stuff like that. So
gotcha. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, imagine if dragon is coming out of the heavens to lay out some justice. That's it. You're done. It's game over.
You're done.
Yeah, game over.
Considering nobody's ever seen a dragon, I'd assume if I saw a dragon coming from the heavens, I was done.
Yeah, you're pretty much. You hope you're not on its list of things to mess up. Sergio asked, and I think I'm gonna have to like ban him from asking these kind of questions because they can go all sorts of directions. But he asked if you could assemble a mixed team of 6 between the Avengers and Justice League, who would it be and why? You didn't write that one down by any chance, did you? Or did you want to skip that one?
I did not, but I could honestly just give you the 6 that were our original Final Justice characters for the original members, which was Spider-Man, Batman, Punisher, Superman, Hulk, and Captain America.
Okay. Captain America's pretty good at throwing a frisbee, so I can see that one. Spider-Man's agile. Can't mess with the Hulk. Any reason for the Punisher?
I mean, the Punisher's a big, like a big gun guy, weapon guy, everything like that. And our dude was a big Marine guy that
perfect.
loved stuff like that. And he loved the very hardcore tone that Punisher always set.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think if you're a Marine, you're supposed to like the Punisher.
Yeah.
It's just kind of standard issue there. Favorite superhero. I guess I can understand why you asked this question. That was, what superhero, DC or Marvel, do I remind you of, and why? And like, I didn't get any context to this. I just like saw notifications and saw this. Is like, what? Like, what are you talking about, guy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's tough for me. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to see if there's any like, I don't say like good Marvel DC character questions.
I did like somebody asked like, what were your least favorite of each? And I mean, those for me were just because of bad movies or bad, like, just like stuff like that. Like Aquaman. I hated the Aquaman movie.
Oh man, I could hear a lot of people gasping. How dare you? I haven't seen it. Yeah, just the collective.
I've already established I'm Team Marvel. Just relax.
Yeah, it's already been stated.
And then, I don't know, I'm just not a big, like, Hawkeye fan. They don't have him in a lot of things lately that it's, like... It just, at this point right now, with all the things going on up to Infinity Wars, he seems, like, irrelevant. He's not doing a lot when he is in things. Like, now he's gone. He's back home. Cool, whatever.
Now he's back with a pretty fresh haircut, so we'll see...
That's fair.
What role he has... I do like, I'm going to nerd out for a second, in Age of Ultron, he's talking to Scarlet Witch, and he's like, hey, I'm a dude with a bow and arrow. Nothing makes sense. Like, I'm glad that the writers nodded to the fact that, okay, you have all these guys with incredible superpowers, yet you have this human who just has a bow and arrow.
Who is an incredible shot. Yeah,
who's an incredible shot, and somehow, can fight against machines and aliens and come out, for the most part, okay. I'm curious how they're going to bring him into Endgame. And why they chose
excited for Endgame.
Yeah, so about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, Abdul Saeed asks, how shook were you at the end of Infinity Wars?
Okay, so I talk a lot, right? Like, yep. I don't shut up. And I didn't talk for 15 minutes after the end of that. Really? I just sat there, mouth open, just like staring off into space. Oh my God. But fun background story to that really quick. When we went there to see Infinity War, it was me, Kevin, and 2 of our teammates. And our teammate that drove us all there was apparently so excited to see Infinity War that he left his keys in his car and car running for the entire 3.5 hour movie that we sat through in the parking lot of the movie theater. And we were all so excited that nobody had noticed that we were walking away from a car that was still on.
He was just so focused on getting to the theater.
Like, he legit thought he lost his keys at the end of the movie, and we're all running around looking, going in the bathroom, checking all the like front concession stands and everything to see if anybody turns it in. My one teammate, Dennis, and I run out to see if his car's still there. And we see his lights are on, and automatically you think, oh my God, somebody's in his car. Like, they're about to drive off because the movie had ended. So we figured that person might have found the car and was trying to leave. We run up. His car's unlocked. Everything's still sitting where it was. Keys are in, and his car is now on E.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the more I think about that, the less funny it is to, man, he's really lucky nothing bad happened. Like, it didn't, I won't say take off or like ram into another vehicle or get stolen, but
yeah,
3 hours is a long time for a car to be running.
Yep.
In idle with the keys to the ignition. That could have been a free car for somebody. That's awesome. That didn't happen. Jeez.
And we don't let him live that down.
Yeah, no, that would stay in my memory for a very long time. In fact, I remember when I did something like that long time ago, but I was at home. So yeah, that's something that's gonna stick with you for a while. Yeah, he's a poor guy, but he's also really fortunate. Yeah, so I mean, so I really liked Infinity War. In fact, I watched it again Sunday. I meant to just put it on as background noise because I'm trying to get hyped for Endgame. Because up until Sunday when I watched Infinity War, I really kind of wasn't feeling the whole Marvel thing. And I fixed that. I'm really excited now. But I ended up watching the whole thing again. I just sat there. I'm like, oh, well, 3 hours has passed by. I didn't do any of the things I said I was going to do with this as background noise. But I knew that, okay, people are going to fade away. But, like, I guess we're spoiler free. But, like, they're going to come back. Like, how I don't understand how that shook people up. Like, there's just no way.
It's just, I think it's a matter of, like, how Doctor Strange said he saw over 14 million possibilities and only one came out with them winning. There can be 14 million possibilities to how this ends, but there's probably one of them out there where everybody still stays dead.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't believe.
Granted, I know that you know they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Are you a Game of Thrones fan by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, so that really numbed me to people dying. It's like,
oh yeah,
oh, big deal. Spider-Man faded away. Oh no, he's gonna come back. Ned is still dead, and I think after that I was just forever ruined.
That shook me so hard. He was my favorite in season 1, and then all of a sudden that happens, and I'm just sitting there, jaw dropped, about in tears.
Yep. So a friend of mine got me into it. He almost drugged me into watching it, and then by the time we get to that episode, I guess it was 10, I was sold. I became a huge fan ever since then, and I just remember thinking, okay, they're gonna not kill him, and then I saw Yoren in the background. I thought, okay, the Night's Watch is gonna bust them out, because I'm so used to these last minute saves where the main character doesn't die. And then he dies, and I'm just like, what?
And they just rip everything out from under you.
Yeah, and I was like, huh? And I just remember, same thing, jaw dropped, and just looked at my friend are you gonna fix this? Are you gonna tell me, hey, he doesn't really die? Or I could not believe it. I was shook.
It wasn't actually his head rolling.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, and they show his corpse being dragged off in episode 10. That's what it was. And I was just like, what the heck? And then I just realized, man, you might as well have told me Santa Claus wasn't real. That's a life-changing event or a life-changing thing now. It's just... Yeah. So that means anybody can die now in this series, and all of the people that I love are not safe. I'm like, oh my God. It's very disturbing. Yep. But, yeah, and then... I
was not okay after that for a while.
Yeah, and then you get okay, and then they throw the red wedding at you, and you're not okay again.
Jeez. Oh, man.
Yeah, so
I'm getting stressed just thinking about it.
Yeah, we'll move on, but just to make a point, I'm pretty sure all of our beloved Marvel characters are safe and they'll be all right, and it'll be a good movie all the same.
Hope so.
But that was. I will say, watching it my second time, I did feel almost an emotion when Spider-Man was fading away. Just because of how Tony was trying to mentor him and try to look after him, and he ultimately fails. I can feel that from Tony Stark's point of view, not so much Spider-Man. But anyway, sidetrack there.
Yeah, we went way sidetracked from that.
Went from Marvel DC to Game of Thrones to
back to Dodgeball.
We'll get back to Dodgeball. So, and I think a great way to get into that is Felix Peroni asks, and I think this is why I kind of wanted to table some of the NCDA questions for this was, is there anything that you want to see more of or less of in the NCDA?
Personally, I mean, when it comes to the NCDA, being the only girl in the Michigan region, I would absolutely love to see more female representation through the sport. Maybe they have a lot of, article write-ups and everything for things like that. Maybe some more articles written up by females or females in the content team that actually work for everything. because we are few and far between, but the females that are there are 110% dedicated to their team. The only other thing I could think of with them would be maybe like actually posting highlights from games, because they do take live stream of everything. And they started doing a little bit of that with like bloopers of like one of the guys sliding out of bounds and his teammate catching him by the shirt while he's in midair and like, you know, pulling him back, like doing actual highlight plays. Other than that, what I'd love to see less of is, you know, I know that it still happens in Elite and there's still some bad blood on the court for things like that. But for some reason, NCDA guys, and I think it's just because they're all college guys, is they bicker and butt heads so much. I'd love to see a game where everybody just is having fun and very carefree about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, does the NCDA have a lot of activity on Dodgeball's family?
Not so much, I think. I mean, I don't regularly check that.
Right.
But I do know that like Felix does a really good job with posting things on that, and so does Kevin Bailey. I know I'll try sometimes if the live stream's up, I'll, you know, share things to that to get the NCDA some more exposure. But I don't think they're as active as like what we could be on it, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean they've obviously have a pretty solid, like, for lack of better words, establishment, and I would think that'd show up more on the community thread, just more links, more articles, kind of like what the Tribune was doing, just generating articles nonstop. Like, I don't see why the NCAA hasn't done that. It could be wrong, but I just, from my experience, I don't see much of it, when I think that might help bring more exposure. But it's not like, because when I talked to like Felix and Kevin last year, I don't think exposure is what they need. I think it's more just awareness of what could happen if people on the West Coast and Pacific Northwest stepped up their game and started recruiting for the NCAA, and like what they can contribute to make it a more far-reaching thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think I should be helping cover pre-cap, recap, or just discussing the NCAA in a little bit more detail with Jacob Leske in April. So maybe that'd be a good time to bring that up and ask about it. But you kind of mentioned bickering, and I'll go ahead and ask this one from Sergio, and that is, seems though the North inspired the meme war trend, and he's referring to the Dynasty versus Gamecocks, which is freaking hilarious. Now that I'm following that, but do you guys have like a team in the North that you guys kind of rival and mess with each other and take jabs at on the NCDA side, or just in the North in general?
I'd probably go more Elite North in general for this, but I like to think that Notorious is a really good rival with us in the North. We seem to always be pretty evenly matched, and it comes down to some big play that swings momentum for our teams. But I mean, they're all really great guys, really, you know, like hard throwers, great catchers, great abilities. But yeah, it always just seems to come down to like some one big thing that turns the tables between us.
Gotcha, but you're not sharing memes and like...
Yeah, I don't think Notorious is the greatest with their social media presence, and we're, you know, just getting into it, so it's not going to be the most exciting of meme wars if we start that. Gotcha.
Yeah, the meme wars. Okay, I'm gonna prevent another rabbit hole with that one. Dominic asks, tacos or pizza? So what team is this? And
100% tacos. I have it written in all caps on my little recap thing, underlined 3 exclamation points.
Good.
Tacos.
Okay, there's no question on that one. And yeah, I think Dominic, if you're listening, I'm going to make this a standard question. So far, everyone has had to answer this since I think Sean asked. So moving forward, and we should probably tally this up, and at the end of the season of the podcast, just say who won. But tacos, okay.
Totally be great with that.
Hard shell or soft, or does it matter?
Depends. you know, like it doesn't matter. I would probably say I eat more hard shell tacos than soft shell though.
And are there good tacos up in Michigan?
What was that?
Are there good tacos up in Michigan?
I mean, it's like there's tacos up here. They're not like they're not like if you go to like, I don't know if you've been to Tacos El Gordo in Vegas. That's like one of our favorite taco places. And every time we go to Vegas, we have to go there at least once. Gotcha. But they're like serviceable, I guess you could say.
Serviceable. Yeah, this is a serviceable taco here. It'll get the job done. Yeah, if you ever end up in Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas, I think your whole perception of tacos will change drastically, and then you'll never want one north of Nebraska.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yep. Let's see. I think we kind of covered Abdul Saeed's question, where it was like, what was it like to play in the first UDC division? Were you out of your element? So I think you said, yeah, you're kind of out of the element, but was there anything that you wanted to add to that, or?
I mean, yeah, I was out of my element, but at the same time, it was so much fun to actually try and play on that entirely different type of game style that I would 100% go back and do it again if they brought it back.
Yeah. God, it just sucks this is the first and only women's EDC. Rest in peace again.
So sad.
Yeah, I hope they bring it back soon, but kind of just get off that one. I kind of asked you about like any mental barriers going from NCDA to Elite. Did you have any more that you want to mention on that? Just transitioning from it?
Personally, it's just more of a, like for me as a woman in dodgeball, it's more of a getting over the you're not good enough mental barrier because you are one of the few up here in the north, that you see all these guys that throw 70 or catch point blank. And when you don't throw 70 and haven't made like crazy catches point blank consistently, it's like, okay, I'm don't think I am good enough to play this game style, and having to talk yourself out of that hole that you've dug into is very hard.
Is that something you still experience now, or do you feel like you've been able to kind of overcome that and adjust?
I felt like I've been able to overcome it a bit. I know now, like the more I make plays and the more I get playing, like the more I play, the easier it is for me to realize, you know, like you can look back and say, hey, I have made a play in this scenario before. Hey, I have done well in this scenario before, you know, like don't get yourself instantly into that thought process of, okay, well, I might as well not play. I'm not, you know, going to compete well with them. You think back to after the, you know, years of playing in this, okay, well, you have competed against them. You have done well. You have taken these players out. You have caught them. Like, it's trying to realize more of the good than the bad.
Gotcha. And just kind of helping that propel you forward and not so much sticking on the past, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe a weird question. Is there like I guess you can't really speak to your experience, but is there like an expectation where as a female player, like you're just a ball retriever or ball fetcher, like you're supposed to give the ball up to somebody else to throw? Like, have you experienced that in NCAA?
I mean, yes, but that also comes with knowing your role, you know?
Right.
That comes with knowing you're not the hardest thrower on the team. So you know, well, when you know your role in the court and know what is better for the team, it's very easy for you to just look at who doesn't have a ball and say, okay, I know I have to give up this ball because the guy that doesn't have one throws 72 and he's just standing there.
Right.
Like it's more so knowing, like I just reiterated, team components of everything. So it definitely has happened a lot of times. But as a woman, I know I'm not the hardest thrower to give that up.
Gotcha. It's a matter of like preference, more or less, and
yeah.
So Sergio asks, I think this is a pretty good one. He says in Jenny's episode, she mentioned how her playing dodgeball at her university pioneered and opened the door to many women following her. Do you feel like you've done the same thing, or was there a woman who inspired you beforehand you'd like to thank? So,
I would love to say that I inspired some people, but being the only girl up here, it's really like, it's hard, when you're an audience of one.
Right.
But I have had several girls also come up to me at NCDA Nationals when people get together and say, like, hey, you're one of the best female players I've ever seen in NCDA. Like, how did you get so good? Like, you're crazy. Like, I wish I could play like that, blah, blah, blah. And so I guess I would like to say, yes, I've kind of maybe inspired girls to take a more aggressive role on the court. But my inspiration to become the player I am, 100% Paige Peterson.
Really?
Oh yeah. Ever since I first watched her play and everything, it was just, she was so dominant on the court, in the fact that she could throw hard, she could make catches and everything, but she never looked like she was out of place. And she always played well. And I just saw her play and I was like, okay, I need to be like her.
Nice.
So I started trying, to be more aggressive, try and make bigger plays, go for riskier outs and catches and everything like that. And it just kind of developed me.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I first saw Paige, she lived in Tucson, or was from Tucson, she came to an open gym, and I was like, oh man, who's this female player here who, like you said, just looks like she belongs, because she was catching and throwing just like anybody else that had been playing for years was doing so, and definitely not, like your athletic type of rookie where like they look like they know how to play dodgeball, but they still got some kinks. So she definitely looked like she had experience. And then I was really excited because at the time we were kind of scrounging for women players for co-ed. So it's like, oh, this is incredible. It's like a godsend. Like, we have a phenomenal female player here. And then she told me she's from the north, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. There are a bunch of psychos up there, but also, dang it, like she's not here permanently. But yeah, I just remember her just lighting the court up and just being a phenomenal player, and it's been cool watching her progress throughout the years.
Oh yeah, she is a really cool player to watch.
Yeah, and she's always doing something hilarious, like fighting curtains or stealing banana
Oh yeah,
bread.
that was actually when she subbed for our team in New Orleans.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't think she'll ever live that down, and I don't want to ever.
I don't think she ever can, because it's made into several gifts.
Of course. Alrighty, so Alan Thomas wrote in like a series of questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the full thing, and then we'll start with the first one, and that was, what are your thoughts on forced female participation, elite co-ed switching to 3-to-3 gender requirements specifically? Do you think it's more important to meet the market need or require equal representation? And then also, what are your thoughts on rules that favor women, giving them a shorter throw line or adding a ball only they're allowed to throw and makes competition, for example? So, first of all, I'm curious what he means about forced female participation. I don't feel like anybody's being forced to play dodgeball.
No, I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think anybody's being forced to either. I do think, however, that it's forcing women away from teams that they normally would play with or feel more comfortable playing with to go to different teams to split them up. Because you might have, like a team of two, like, I don't know, sisters that play with each other, or, like whatever, that they feel comfortable with each other. Right. And they haven't been able to find a third on their team, so they are forced to split up to go into other ones, just for sake of league requirements. I personally liked it at 4-2. We'll see how this, 3-3 format goes.
Gotcha. So do you have like I won't say like any weigh-in, but you're just kind of yeah, as you said, we'll see how it goes. Like, that's pretty much your sentiment towards it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes this year. Or it's next year, right?
Yeah, next year. Yeah, that'll be interesting. When it says like forced, I go to like a dark place like 2005, 2006, where there just were so few women players, like they just didn't exist. So you would literally force your girlfriend to play, or like your cousin, and you could tell it definitely did not want to be there, and they're just there to make the gender requirement, and they would be like the first ones out, or they throw a floater to get caught, or they would start the game and then walk out of bounds. So like that's what I meant by like forced, but I think you kind of, maybe you meant more what he was thinking, where it's like, okay, a team that has two solid girls now has to pick up another one from another team where they're comfortable with. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Sorry, I was kind of thinking out loud for a second there, but
no, you're all right.
His second question was, do you think it's more important to meet the market need or require equal representation? So
I mean, I am always for equal representation, but currently with the market need, I feel like the original format would have always works better for us personally, because like you also said, like, yeah, back in 0506, there were very far and few between women playing dodgeball. Now, yes, we have a lot more, but they've seemed to establish themselves on the teams that they are already on and who they're comfortable being with or without. And if we're being honest, looking at the numbers in Elite specifically, there are far more men playing than women. So I think switching from a majority to an equal roster concept, it has really good merit, and I would be all for it someday. I just feel like personally right now that might not work the best, and it's going to cut down your team sizes that actually play in the league.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what he means by market need. Like, is Elite trying to market to women players to recruit more, or are women players demanding more court time and hence the 3x3, or?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I mean, like, to go off the women demanding more court time, yeah, at this point, day and age, like, there have been a lot of women that have established themselves to be able to play with the guys very easily and be dominant in certain situations. So yeah, they should demand more court time side by side with a guy. But at the same time right now, if you look at the numbers, at least from just what I see, there are a lot of women, but a lot of women do not feel comfortable yet playing against men.
Right.
Which is why, we have the women's division. It's obviously completely different taking a throw at your face in women's division versus like, I don't know, like Kenny Cox winding up and throwing a no-sting ball at your throat like he did to me at New Orleans Nationals.
That's very detailed. It sounds like it actually happened.
It was a, just stating from a friend's personal experience. But
of course.
yeah, no, I definitely took a full-on throat from him, and it was not a good time.
Yeah, but that felt great.
It had like a rise to it. I had my ball down for the block, and it just curved up, and I couldn't pull. Like, I pulled my ball in to block it, but I blocked it into my throat, and it was just grand old time.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more fun to experience.
I mean, you could ask him. The guy's a really nice guy. He'll probably let you. He'll probably, give a couple throws at you to see how you like it.
He did say that's how he shows respect and appreciation for you as a player. If he just does not hold back. So.
Good.
Yeah, there's that. Like, yeah, cool. This guy is a monster and wants to kill me, but I guess that's a good thing. Silver lining, he respects me. So. I guess if he ever throws a dainty ball at you, that's saying a lot about what he thinks of you. So.
Saying he hates you. No, I'm just kidding.
How dare you, sir? You're supposed to give me a black eye. But I'm curious because, you're kind of speaking from what you've seen on the West and the East. Because if I recall, the South and the North are still kind of building their women's division. The West clearly has a lot more women players already. So I wonder, if I have a chance, I want to ask this to some other regional-based women players too, to see what their thoughts are, because I like this question. It's definitely something I don't think I touch on too much, just because I don't think to ask. But yeah, I'm just very curious to see what other opinions are. But he does go on to ask the third question. That was, what are your thoughts? Because you kind of talked about like how women don't want to face balls thrown by males, but what are your thoughts on rules that favor women? For example, giving them a shorter throw line, or adding a ball only they are allowed to throw in a mixed competition, for example. What are your thoughts on that one?
I personally don't like it because I want the play to be as evenly matched as possible. I want to have the same exact boundary lines, the same exact ball that a guy uses, so that I don't, like, quote unquote, to even it out. I'd rather beat somebody at their own game than be given all these advantages to go up and be like, oh yeah, well, with this smaller ball and a shorter throw line, I got you out. No, I want to take, like an 8.5-inch rubber ball, throw from the same line, and actually use accuracy to hit them and get them out. In my high school days that we started with in that foam tournament, they did that where they had the really small foam balls that only the women could throw. And I just remember absolutely hating it. And I would just like sit the small foam balls in the back and still just take the bigger foam balls and use those, because I just thought it was so dumb that they would try and like have women throw smaller ones. Like, so what? Like, get better,
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I don't feel like a lot of people share that sentiment where because I'll say this too about like, okay, people are complaining about they're not making Tyler's like top 50, and the answer to that is get better. Or they're complaining that they don't throw 75 miles an hour, like, can't you catch them? Well, get better. And granted, there's only so much you can do to fix that, but that's the mentality that a true competitor should have. So like when you say, oh, I don't want to have any advantages given to me, I want to play this game on equal ground as the player to my left and right. Like, I feel like that's a very strong competitive mindset. And
oh yeah.
And I'm kind of going to like our foam league that we play, where we have the male throw line, which is like the center of the court, then we have the female throw line, which is a good maybe 3 or 4 or 5 feet up ahead, and we'll definitely use that to our advantage. And there are definitely some females that are there just to have fun. Some don't have the arm or the grip strength to even let alone pinch a ball, let alone throw an 8.51. So I think it's just more of a preference. But when you get into like a competitive, like a truly competitive environment like the NCDA and Elite, I feel like anything that kind of cheapens that is just not, like you said, it's not right. Like, you'd rather not participate or engage in that. So
yeah, like, I mean, personally, and like, I am a very strongly competitive person. I'm the person that even if I end up, working and eventually getting myself at the top spot on the list, I'm still not going to be happy enough, because I know that that's top spot at women's. There's, like men's list too, that like, granted, it's for men, but if you're good enough, you make it to things,
Yeah, no, that's
like, last year, one of the biggest things in the NCDA to really, really motivate me was they release men's and women's All-American voting. And you have first and second team for men's and just first team for women's, because there are so few women. I got second overall in women's, and I ended up even getting, I found out, a vote or two for the regular All-American list. And that just like lit a fire under me that I was like, I didn't even realize I could do this. Nice. Okay, guess we're going for standard All-American roster.
And this was NCDA, you said?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wonder if this will, I don't want to say like incite conversation or comments, but I'm just really curious to see what other people think about that, just in general. And I don't know how I'm going to come across, but I look at you as kind of like an anomaly. Like, you're the only female playing out in Michigan, and you're playing 8.5 pinch, which, you know, I won't do. I'm like, no thanks. So I want to say you're kind of the exception right now, but I don't know. Like, I could be wrong. I think if I don't know how to. I say like see past my bias, but just from my experience, it's not normal seeing women playing pinch. So I really hope that doesn't paint me in a bad picture, but I'm just kind of basing off of what I know.
No, you're fine. I get it. You know, like you said too. Like it's hard to actually like grip and hold an 8.5 rubber ball. I couldn't grip for probably a year, and the only thing that kept me going to actually get into pinch was something I couldn't do, and I don't like not being able to do things. And pinch is obviously like the craziest, hardest game of them all, that I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to get good at this. And so that's kind of how it was. Like, Kevin and I would tell Kevin we'd go to practice early, and I'd tell him, just throw at me as hard as you can. Like, that's awesome. I don't care. Like, hit me. If you hit me in the face, whatever. Like, he's hit me in the face a couple times, and, you know, granted, like, it's me misreading a ball, but it's me realizing, hey, you messed up. Like, that was a crappy play to try and make. Like, what do you want to do here?
Yeah. So, like, part of why I hate foam so much, and again, don't know how it'll sound, but it's like, you should be able to grip an 8.5 ball, and if you can't, you should not have an entire division created around you because you don't want to learn or put in the grip strength to be able to throw an 8.5 ball. And mind you, my don't have, you know, super large hands. Like, I just don't have like Andrew Ketchum size hands, right? And I'll never throw as hard as Ketchum, but I could still play 8.5, and I can still tell myself, oh, if I want to throw harder, I can put the work in the gym, you know, work on legs or work on forearm strength. And because you have people like Mike McGee who are, you know, they're not built like Ketchum, but my God, do they throw hard as crap. So it's definitely possible for people of smaller stature, I guess, to put the time in and work, or take the foam shortcut, which, again, I'm not going to try to take away from foam because it definitely has a lot of talent required to do well in it, especially with those people that can just snag those things out of nowhere. But that's how I see 8.5. It's like, it's just taking a shortcut. But
and I mean, you know, like, I'll agree to disagree with you on this. I do think that foam takes a lot of athleticism and talent on it. I personally just, like, you know, like, I'm on your side where it's, I think 8.5 for me, at least personally, involves a little more of a skill set. And that also comes from not having the biggest hands and everything like that, and not having, you know, if I were Andrew Ketchum size, people would be a little questioning on things like that.
Right.
But foam, with how you can curve and manipulate those balls in your throw, is so hard to track. And I think that takes a ridiculous amount of hand-eye coordination to follow it through. But at the same time, and I think this might just be my crazy side coming out with pinch, but like, you get hit with a foam ball and you don't feel a thing.
Yeah.
Like, we were in the Tribune at LA, and I forget who we were playing and who threw it at me, but I was already walking off, and I had gone to raise my hand up, and she had already thrown at me, and it hit me in the side of the face, and she was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, okay, no offense, but like,
it's a foam ball.
All I play is pinch. This is I'm not gonna feel a thing.
Yeah, I love when somebody gets stuck with a foam ball and it creates that crazy sound.
Oh yeah.
You just hear somebody go like, "Whoa!" Like, I can't do it right now, but you just, like, somebody go like, "Oh man, you got blown up." I'm like, no, man, you threw a pillow at me and I didn't catch it. Like, I don't feel anything other than
take a pinch throw and make the pinch throw make that sound, and then you can go ooh.
Then you get your woo, and then I'll probably bleed from inside my chest, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, you're internally bleeding, hobbling off. It's fine.
Yeah, this one kid, I was playing against Alan last night, and he hit this one kid who, to his credit, he's coming to our practices for 8.5, and you know, he's trying, and that's, I'll always respect that all the way. And he got hit in the in the Manly region by the foam ball, and he
Ooh.
doubled over. He's like, oh god, and he's just acting like he's in this worst pain. I'm like, dude, shut up. You got hit by a marshmallow. Like, stop. Just get up.
It was a love tap.
Yeah, he's like, but it came from hell, and I'm like, okay, try catching an Allen ball with an 8.5. Then we'll talk, man. Then you can be all dramatic, and until then, just suck it up, man. It's a pillow. That's it. But
yeah,
I don't even know how we got in this conversation, but for the record,
I think it was the women fairness and unfairness. And then you were talking about how, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and to be fair, and for the record, I do like foam. I realize, like, in order for me to get better, I have to get better in practice, and I just, as we talked about earlier, I'll always have 8.5 in my heart. But anyway, Miles Garner says, also Nationals 2018 featuring Final Justice versus Kaiju. Why y'all have to do me like that? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, we may or may not have been the ones to cause that slow-mo Miles face gif where the ball pretty much just wraps around him. And to be fair, we played against Miles for all three regions before that we know Miles is a big catching threat. So we had originally the plan was, put 2 balls on him and have a delay throw just in case. And it just so happened that both balls hit him, but our guy had already wound up for the delayed throw and couldn't stop. And the slow-mo just makes it look so long and so bad. But if you look in the slow-mo, the balls had just started coming up from their first bounce off of the ground. So that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I'm replaying that in my head, and it just seems like the most deliberate, delayed, I'm going to hit you in the face throw on whoever was throwing it. Sorry, Miles.
That was our rookie, and that rookie hit 68 with his open throw 6 months into playing 8.5.
Dang, that's
His pinch is 73.
Oh my goodness.
He's insane. He's 19. It's crazy.
Oh man, he's got...
We have a couple more tricks like him coming out in round 1 you'll hear about.
I appreciate the warning in advance. And I look forward to asking about him during the recap. But sorry, Miles. It's just funny, like, just replaying that and then him saying, why you gotta do me like that?
I feel bad. I really do like Miles. But in that case, business is business. And they just happen to... all 3 of them hit,
Yeah. It's what you get for catching so well. You did that to yourself.
Yeah.
So I remember I said something prompted me to ask you about, like, your pre-tourney ritual, and that was actually Crystal Brion is kind of scrolling down here. She did ask, like, what's your favorite jam pre, during, and post, but kind of want to focus on the post since we kind of covered everything before that. Do you have, like, a post-tourney ritual and song?
Ritual would definitely be ibuprofen and napping, but and food, lots of food. But I would definitely say, like, I just want some, like, chill, mellow vibe music to listen to. Like, lately, a lot of my, like, post-gym cool downs have been, like, Sunflower by Post Malone or stuff like that. And other than that, it's just basically where can I get my hands on a big thing of food?
Okay. Tacos or just anything at that point? Just calories?
Burritos.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. A burrito with extra queso and some guac. Oh,
yeah.
Speaking my language.
You lost me at guac. I can't do it.
Oh, no, I love guac.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to. But differences. I did. I almost overlooked this one, actually. Kind of going back to talking about Allen and getting more women in the North. So Miles did also ask, do you have any advice or things that we can change to recruit more women in the North region? So I think he means we as in his organization or where he belongs, or just you guys in general.
Yeah, I would assume in this point he means in general, since it is basically me, Paige, Kat, if Kat can get off work, and Sam, Sakurasha. You just have to find, like, you really have to recruit athletic girls. Like, in the North, with how intense and crazy it gets, you're not going to get a girl that just did like one sport, JV, was kind of just there. Like, you need a girl that has a very strong competitive drive and somebody that is willing to, get beat up a little bit while they learn it, or for your team to be patient, which more so than not, it is definitely the prior of the two that I just said.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious, like, where do you find Paige's, Kat's, and Rebecca's? Like, where do you guys go? And just put flyers all over those places.
I couldn't tell you where we came from, man. I barely even know where I came from. I just kind of showed up and was like, this is fun.
It's going to be like a science project. Just be like, okay, I'm going to just kind of shadow Paige for a while.
Yeah.
Like, walk me through
Day in the life of Paige.
Yeah, walk me through your college days. Where did you go? Where did you frequent? What do you watch? What are your interests? And then just try to, like...
How much protein did you eat daily?
Yeah, just anything that kind of reverse engineer what produced you guys, and then just kind of advertise that fits that. But I think that's a good point, because the North is, like, you guys are just tough. It's not something, like you said, you can kind of just walk into and, expect to not take a beating. You have to be one of those people that's willing to take the beating, find out how you can take less beatings, and then, get better. I'll say that much about you guys. Like I said, you're all a bunch of psychos up there, so it's cold or what it is, but
not denying. Yep. Yeah, when it's cold for 9 months out of the year, you got to have something to feel. So you might as well just get hit with a pinch ball every once in a while.
Yeah, blood's going through my veins. I feel alive again.
And then you walk out and it's -20 and you're good.
Yep, that must be it. That's a secret. Well, I guess, and this is a good caveat maybe, and that's, well, actually, no, I take that back. Over Reddit. Tyler asks, why haven't you done what a lot of other women in the U.S. have done, and that's joined a women's team in the West region? And if you could choose, what women's team would you want to join in the elite West region? So, a bit of an assumption there, but is there any reason why you've stuck with the North and haven't hopped on to a West team?
So, fun fact, I actually am free agenting.
Oh, look at that.
For the West. So, you need somebody, holla at your girl. Shameless self-plug there. But, yeah, no, I've been wanting to get out to the West. It's just obviously expensive. And with having NCDA elite up here, a job, and still being in school, it's hard to get the time off until summer. So like round 1 is almost always a no-go.
Right.
And by that time, people have their teams established that they don't want to hear you can't go to round 1. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful for round 2. If anything, definite for round 3 in nationals. 100% going to be there for round 3.
Nice.
Whether I play or not.
Well, shameless side plug for Beast Coast Chronicles. Colin's free agent registry or free agent database, I think, is probably a good place to look into.
Yep, I am on that too. I have not looked at their teams yet for what needs free agents, but I am on their free agent player thing.
Awesome. Well, that'd be cool. I'll actually be at round 3, so hopefully I'll see you there and see what you bring. Let's see. Okay, so Lucas asked, which players have influenced your style of play? And let's see. Yeah, so he kind of had like another 3 parts. So are there any players that have influenced your style of play, just in general?
I mean, my teammates.
About Paige earlier.
Yeah, Paige definitely gave me that influence to want to be, a more aggressive female force on the court. But as far as like the player and the play style I have today, 100% my teammates. Like I said with Kevin, how, when I decided, I really sat down and decided I wanted to try and get good at dodgeball, that I would go to the gym with him and, tell him, okay, throw as hard as you can at me. Like, I'd walk out with bruises all the time. And I'd tell my teammates, I'd pull aside, like, back when I was, like a sophomore, I'd pull aside our captains at the time. Like, obviously I know I'm not the best by far. And I know that you guys throw really hard. Throw at me as hard as you can. Like, I want to get better at this. Like, I don't care. Pick on me, bully me, like make me look like a fool. Just play me like you would play, the league MVP. And it, started working. I got better. I could track the ball better. I could catch better. I got better with my throws and my accuracy. Yeah, I give it to my teammates, man.
Nice. I would almost say that kind of answers his third question. That was any advice for new players looking to level up in a sport that is getting tougher all the time.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Like you fall down 7, get up 8, whatever it is. Like no matter how many, you're always going to get bruised. You're always going to have there's always going to be another bad face shot moment or bad hit moment or a bad dropped catch moment. There's always going to be another one of those.
Right.
You're never going to get to the point that you don't make mistakes. The greatest athletes in the world still make mistakes. Like there's always going to be room for improvement.
Yeah, if I can sum that up in one word, it'd be resiliency. Just again, just trying to fast forward the evolution of dodgeball from 2004 to now. There was a time when, okay, I played baseball in high school. I'm going to round up 5 of my frat bros, and we're going to go dominate these kids. And that's just not the case anymore at all. Like, you have to, it's not even the case to be athletic and play dodgeball and do well. Like, you have to understand that if you're going to compete on an elite or potentially even the NCDA level, you might get humbled. There's a good chance you're going to get humbled.
Yep.
You just have to be willing to get up and not stop, and maybe even go as drastic as saying, hey guys, throw balls at me all day long. I'm going to get some bruises and put my time in. Who'd have thought hard work and dedication actually is what makes a good dodgeball player nowadays,
Who'd
right?
have thunk it?
Who'd have thought?
It doesn't get you anywhere else.
Yeah. Gone are the days where, a beer belly and a strong arm would get you far. It won't anymore, at least not in this environment. Rec leagues, sure, but not where we play anymore.
Rec leagues, I think they call that the alphas.
The alphas? What are those?
No, I'm just like alpha male, beta males.
Oh,
where
yeah,
it's
right.
like you got a beer belly and you're just messing around the whole time. That's the alpha of the beer league.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not enough these days. You gotta try harder.
Oh, yeah.
Might know the answer to this one already, but what would your dream dodgeball tournament be?
World Cup, but pinch.
World Cup, like U.S. Dodgeball World
Yeah,
Cup?
like U.S. Dodgeball World Cup, but pinch.
Why U.S. Dodgeball format?
Just the idea of playing pinch on like a world stage like that against other countries and everything, that just seems like it holds so much more to me.
That would be fun to watch, just to see the U.S. beat the crap out of every other country out there, because I don't think any other countries pinch right now.
It'd just be me versus no other girls on the court if it was women. Well, me and Paige.
Yeah, I just envisioned that scene from Troy where Achilles is like, "Is there no one else?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, I'd pay good money to watch that. Oh man. Thanks, Lucas. That'll be a good fantasy, I guess. Just mopping the floor with people. Maybe one day. You could hope. Let's go ahead and ask. I think there might be some overlaps for this one, but I'll go ahead and read it out. Bill Fisher. He asks, what differences are there when preparing individually and as a team for NCAA as opposed to elite? Kind of did cover that a little bit.
That one. Yeah. It's just the same thing. It's like different mentality, different game style plays that you have to hype yourself up for. But I still do pretty much the same thing every time. I still go back and watch film, and I watch my good moments followed by my bad moments to not inflate my head too much.
Right.
And then just figure out what I went wrong, what could get better. And no matter how much I don't want to watch it, I'll watch the films where like I just look completely out of place on the court.
Yeah, I think a lot of that you can just chalk up to your veteran status. Like you've done it before, and so you know what going from elite to NCDA and back and forth already feels like. And I think it's really cool that you watch highlight videos of you doing something really cool, but then you watch like how that fell apart. Like that's new. I've never heard that before, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I don't, like you don't want to. You can watch the good things all the time, like it's what you do with those moments that fall apart or the bad moments afterward.
Yeah.
That really make you learn from the sport. And I can inflate my head all day if I want, like going back and just rewatching highlight film, but I'm never going to learn or humble myself if I don't watch the bad things too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great way to look at it. I'm going to steal that from you.
Go right ahead, man.
Consider it done. Yeah, because it just tells so much. Like, okay, here, caught through, overextended myself, or didn't give myself enough time to run back. Let's fix that next time. That's pretty profound. So that's a really good nugget to take away. We almost danced over this one. I don't know if there's something you want to revisit, but was there a specific moment when you knew you were just hooked on dodgeball? Like, you talk about that foam charity tournament, but was there something like maybe just something flying past your face or being able to hit people, like just when you just knew like I want to do this more for dodgeball?
This is gonna sound really dumb, but there's just for some reason this moment that's always stuck out in my head from my very first nationals freshman year, which was the first roster I ever made for NCDA, and it was the national roster. I was like, oh my god, like NBD guys. And we were playing Kentucky, and I had a ball, and I was running up past to run down this one guy. And as I'm running up, this Kentucky mom on the side, I have no idea whose mom it is, never saw her again, but she just says, as I'm running past, this girl's really good. Like, she looks like she belongs out there.
Nice.
And that just stuck. And that's when I was like, you know what? I am going to be really good. I'll just make myself good.
That's awesome. It's like, oh, since you said it, might as well do it. That's pretty cool. Do you think you have a biggest accomplishment at this time? Another one of Bill's questions.
Honestly, biggest accomplishment personally, and it might not seem like a lot for some other people, but being the first like female captain role of the Michigan State team, like getting assistant captain last year, just really gave me validation, that everything I'd been trying really hard for ended up being like for good reason. And the fact that I can now say, like first ever was like, this is pretty cool,
Definitely. Yeah, he also asked, what's your next goal you have for yourself? And this kind of bleeds into the Andrew Ketchum question, still one of my favorites, and that is, been playing for a while, but what do you want to achieve in dodgeball, and what keeps pushing you to play and get better?
There's always somebody better than you in something. That's the one thing that like really pushes me. Like I can be, one of the hardest 8.5 throwers for women, but I might not catch as well as somebody else, or I might not be as accurate as somebody else. And then at the same time too, I'm very driven by the fact that I know like 90% of the guys that play are better than me, to the point that I'm like, well, that's not good enough. I need to be better than like all the guys. Like, yeah, I might not throw as hard, but if I'm the most accurate person out there on the court, like there's nothing they can do about it,
Right.
But what I want to see in my dodgeball career, and it's a small goal and it's something trivial, but it's just getting like a name invited to the USA Combine. I don't even care if I make it the first time. It's just a matter of like knowing that like scouts saw you and you're like, yeah, you're good enough to come out and try out. Like, I'm very big on validation. And for me, that would be huge.
It's kind of cool that we actually have something to help, I guess, justify that validation. Like, before the combine, it was like, well, I think I'm as good as I can be, maybe. But then now that there's like an actual, outside entity scouting people, watching you from like a completely objective point of view, frame of mind, and that they give you that invite, it's like, oh wow, like this is huge.
Yeah. I will say too, the other thing, huge thing for us this year, and this is more of a team goal, not so much personal. 100% want to win at round 1 this weekend. Like, we have a great team. We look really good. And it's like, right now it's ours to lose with everything that's setting up. We ended the year last year giving Grand Rapids their first ever round robin loss. Before, when we played them in Elims, Kevin dislocated his finger as the last in, and it ended the match. But we ended looking really good, and we've added nothing but talent for this part. So I'm excited to see what we do with this. Yeah, we're young, so we might have some problems dealing with that, but it's going to be good.
Nice. Well, good luck to you on that, and look forward to either seeing it on the streams or recapping it next week. Alrighty, so the next 2 questions, especially since this is towards the end of March, so there's still a lot to look forward to in 2019, but is there anything specifically that you're looking forward to this year?
Hopefully a couple regional wins, and then a good run at nationals. I'm just looking forward to working with this team. I love each and every one of these guys. I'm so excited to be playing with them.
Nice. Very cool. And last question is, what is your favorite dodgeball memory to date?
All right. Very first thing that comes to mind, without a doubt, my favorite memory. So sorry to Wes Peters, but it was Boston Nationals, and we were on that throw together pinch team called Lit, and we were playing Kraken in eliminations, and they were up 1-0. It was me and Michael White versus Wes, and I start walking up to pinch him in a little bit to force him back to make a long throw, and I just hear Kevin right behind me on the sidelines. He's going to no-look throw you. He's going to no-look throw you. I was like, I know, shut up. And as soon as I said that, he no-look throws me, and I drop catch, but I bobble it, so I had to slide forward again and grab it, and forced us to go to the 1-1 tie. And for some reason, it's just my favorite memory.
Nice. So everything played out the way you expected, with the exception of...
It did. I actually got a couple cheers. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so special.
Nice. And was this Kevin Bailey yelling at you?
No, Kevin, my boyfriend, Kevin Nguyen.
Oh, gotcha.
The captain of Final Justice.
Like, I know. Shush, she's going to not do it if you keep saying it out loud.
I know, don't say it anymore.
Yep. That's awesome. Is that on film by any chance somewhere, or do you know?
Oh, it is.
Perfect.
Vegam had clipped it from his streaming for, Mad Media?
Okay.
And he posted it with the title of "Oh Baby, What a Catch," and I was that's one of the things I love to watch.
Nice. Is that one of those things where you'll play if you're trying to get into that mindset again?
Yeah, just because it was 100% reading the play right and doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens. Everything goes the way you planned, and you execute it, and you're like, yes, that's exactly by design. Totally baited this person. Yep. Totally caught it. Everything went the way it was supposed to. I love that feeling. Well, very cool. Well, I think that's all I have, and I think it's pretty good because we're probably nearing the 2-hour mark. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, it's been great getting to know you more through the recaps. You've been super helpful and helped me understand the North a little bit more, and I think bringing more of the North to other regions, I do get a lot of good kudos because of that. So I definitely appreciate you and the time that you spend helping me put together the panels, answering the questions. I'm very excited about recapping with you after round 1, and then also good luck once again. But yeah, thank you so much for being awesome, and I hope people enjoy this.
Thank you for the interview, and I always appreciate and love, talking with you. I'm super excited for the recap then.
Awesome. Very cool. Alrighty, so that was the interview with Rebecca. And Rebecca, thank you so much for providing your time this evening, giving us a chance to get to know you more. And also, once again, thank you so much for helping me recap the North Region events all of last year. I'm definitely looking forward to doing so more this year as well. For everyone that submitted questions, thank you so much, whether it was the Team Taco, Team Pizza question, which I think is going to be a staple from now on, to the truly thought-provoking ones from Alan Thomas. And as an example, I really love being able to go across the spectrum and just welcome it more and more. Best of luck to those of you that may be listening that are en route to North Round 1. Good luck and no injuries. Be safe. And for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. And as always, have a great rest of your evening, a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. That's good enough. Okay, done. I am freaking roasting alive in this booth. It is freaking hot as crap, and I just want to get the freak out of here.